light switch that went off. Like, okay, this is strictly a mindset thing. You just got to stay positive though, and you just got to do little things right.
Hey, man. Glad to have you here. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Awesome being here.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that guys have, myself being in the industry for a long time, just based off of what you did your first year. So congrats for being here, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's an awesome accomplishment. And I want to jump into a little bit about Tristin. So where are you from?
Yeah.
What's that place like, all that, and let's go from there.
I'm from Algonac, back about an hour and a half from here, so it's kind of far. And it's just a little town, you know, everyone knows everyone. Graduated with like 100 kids, played sports, you know, growing up in high school. And I lived on the water, so always had some fun out there. But other than that, I'm new to the Northville area now. And, you know, I'm at the Bug Mansion, chilling with the boys, and just hanging out now.
Yeah, that's not all over social media. The Bug Mansion. What made you guys decide to get a huge home?
You know, that was not like one of the things when I came out with EcoShield. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a huge house with all my buddies. It just kind of happened right after the summer. It was just something that kind of came up. Steven brought it up, and I was like, yeah, why not? Perfect.
Hey, it's the energy is always high there, man. I love that environment. So how did you first get into sales? Like, how did it all begin? And I'm not even talking about just EcoShield. Like, how did you start, you know, talking to people to make money?
The first thing I did was just working the gas docks. It's a place in Algonac. It's Island Grill. Mm-hmm. It's a restaurant. You know, boats come in.
We went there once, right?
Yes, we did on the pontoon. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. So boats come in. It's a restaurant. They eat there, dock there. You can get gas. And I'd work the gas docks. Boat comes in. I dock it. You know, make $3 an hour, and you just kind of got to work for a tip. Talk to the person, make a connection.
Okay.
It was good tip money. That was my summer job from 17 to 18 years old, and that was the first thing. And then from there, I kind of started doing some cold calls.
Okay.
I did a little bit of like social media marketing with Brent. I'm sure you know him.
Yeah, savage.
And
what were you selling?
Just like leads and SEO, so like search engine optimization, you know, ranking websites on Google.
Okay.
Just a lot of marketing and advertising stuff.
Yeah.
Just bringing business leads, doctors, attorneys, that kind of thing. Did cold calls for that. Didn't, you know, kill it, but I got my feet wet with sales, and it was kind of where I realized that a commission-based job is the way to go. And then I heard about EcoShield, and here I am.
Hey, here you are. When you first started, whether it was one of those previous jobs or at EcoShield, were you always like naturally good at the job, or do you feel like it was more something you had to observe and, you know, cultivate the skill set?
I mean, like, you know, being at the gas stocks isn't a tough job. You just got to be a personable person and talk to people, get tips. But doing cold calls, that was a rude awakening. It was tough. That was the first time I've actually done like strictly sales, all commission. Mm-hmm. And I mean, no attorney wants to be called in the middle of the day from an 18-year-old kid trying to read off his script at first. So it was very tough. I read books, you know, and I just kind of learned the ropes of it. You know, just like everything, if you do it for long enough, you'll get better at it. It's just like anything you do. And that's kind of how it started. I got a little bit better, reading more books, and then that was really it. But EcoShield is definitely a great job, but you have to work hard. And if you don't work hard, you know, you can't expect to be the greatest. And that's with everything. It's not easy to make a lot of money. It shouldn't be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that takes us right into the summer, which is what I want to dive into. So, this last year, how old were you going into the summer?
18.
18 years old.
Yep.
So what were you thinking leading into the summer, and then when it actually hit, what was the reality of it versus your perception of what things would be?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I was pumped to come out. I couldn't wait. I was very nervous, obviously, you know, being a rookie my first year. I didn't know if I was going to be good at it. I just gave it my all. Just read a lot of books, prepared the way I should. And I did role playing every day with Brent, Steven, Mark, all the other managers, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this is easy. Like, I got it. I know the script. I know objections. I know this and that. Then I went out to Utah for a little preseason trip, and I was like, wow, this is actually something you gotta get good at and you gotta learn. It took like five hours for me to get my first sale on my first day, and from there it was just up and up.
It was. I was watching.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun being out there.
You breezed past it, but for guys that are really driven, hungry, what books were you reading that were helpful for you going into sales?
Yeah. 10X is really good. That's that's a book that everyone should read no matter where you're at in life. It's going to kind of show you, hey, if you work hard and put your mind to it, anything is possible. So 10X is great. 10 Pillars of Wealth is a really good book. Kind of just gives you the principles of what all the successful people do in life. Mm-hmm. And more of Grant Cardone's sales books like Sell or Be Sold, Closer Survival Guide. And then a really big one that I really forget about sometimes is Miracle Morning. It kind of shows you the principles of what can come if you have a good morning routine, and that was a really good book.
Yeah, that's one that's changed a lot of people's lives. I've read that and gotten a lot out of it. I want to dive into your routines during the summer. Okay, so what did you do what'd you do every day?
Yeah, I sold pest control. So the only bad thing is I wish I had a morning routine. I didn't have the greatest morning routine, but after the meeting, I'd go right to the meeting, be there for an hour, let's say, go over some training, go over numbers for the day. And then from the meeting, I'd go right to Hood. My goal is to be in Hood by at least 10:30, 11 o'clock the latest. Sometimes driving like an hour and a half, how it gets out here in Detroit.
Yeah.
But once I'm on the doors, I'm on the doors. I don't want to leave Hood. If I do have a lunch, it's dry oatmeal. And if it's like 100 degrees outside, I will sit in my car for like 20 minutes and then, drink a water, eat some dry oatmeal, and get back out there. Mm-hmm. But I'm on the doors from 10:30 to at least 8:30, 9 o'clock every night.
Okay.
And just repeating every day, just doing the little things right. And the biggest thing is mindset, because it's not easy to go out there. You work for 3 hours, you don't have a sale. Mm-hmm. You just got to stay mentally all there. Because if you're there, you're happy, people are going to notice that, and people will sign up. Yeah. You got to sell yourself at the end of the day.
Going through that learning process, what was like the time that you got hit by the harshest thing or the biggest loss that you took during the summer, then you ended up rebounding from? What was that thing?
Learning that mindset is everything with this job, because I was doing, mediocre in Utah as a rookie. Came back to Detroit, was doing pretty well. I had a 7 spot one day. The next day, I had 0. I had vagaled. And that was crazy, because I was like, all day I was thinking it was just getting closer and closer to the end of the day. And I was like, how did I sell 7 yesterday and not 1 today?
We thought you weren't knocking. We were like, what's going on with Tristin?
Everyone thought that too. And I hated to admit it. I was like, yeah, I was knocking. Everyone's like, really? I was like, yeah. So I kind of realized that it was mindset at that point, because the next day I went out there, rewired my brain a little bit, and I had a 7 spot again. So I went 7, 0, 7. That was kind of like the biggest light switch that went off. Like, okay, this is strictly a mindset thing. Yeah, it comes with training. You just got to stay positive though, and you just got to do little things right.
So I want to jump to a question that I got. So what was your average interaction time? And based on what was your average interaction time when you first started knocking, and then what was your average interaction time at the end of the summer?
That's a really good question. I think about that a lot too, because being a rookie, you spend way too much time with people. At first, I'd say average interaction time with a sale, or just overall on the doors over interaction with everyone.
Let's do both. What do you think the differences were in both?
Average interaction with someone, I'd say probably at least 5 minutes, because if they're being like hard objections or giving you no's constantly, you're gonna get out of there. But if you can actually talk to someone, I'd probably say 5 minutes. But if it was a sale, I'd say anywhere from like 7 to 12 minutes. It's tough for me to really give like a good average, but my biggest thing was like if I'm with someone for a long time, I'm building a lot of value, and it's probably a switch over. Other than that, I try to preempt as many objections as I can throughout the pitch, to where it's just straight to paperwork, close, and on to the next door. But probably 7 to 12 minutes with a sale.
Okay, love it. Another question, and shout out to Mike Sawtell for a couple of these. I'll shout out the guys that put these questions forward. But he said, how long was your lunch break? You kind of just answered, but how long was your lunch break?
Well, at first, I was, making the common mistake of taking a lunch and being like caught up on that. Sometimes I'd go to the gas station and buy like a granola bar, but 2 months into the summer, I was like, screw that. I'm staying in Hood. I'm not leaving Hood, and I'm doing short lunches. So at first, I was probably wasting like an hour of my day.
Okay.
going to get lunch, but I changed that in like the end of July, and no longer than 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel like that is a common thread between so many of the high performers is
it
quick
is.
lunches and they don't leave hood.
Yeah, and it's not even that like it's like I really don't want to explain it, because if you're putting up sales and if you take a long lunch, you're not really doing yourself like a bad job. It's just like if you don't take that lunch and if you just keep working, where would your numbers be at after the summer? Because
Mm-hmm.
that extra 30 minutes to an hour every day, it's going to add up a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Just like knocking late at night, like if you get off the doors early rather than just staying out there another 30 minutes or an hour over the summer, that's going to average out to at least putting up another 20-30,000 in revenue if you just stay out there for a little bit longer.
Is that what you would say the biggest difference is? So another question here that I got from somebody who's going to be watching this. Uh, what was the one thing that was unique about your schedule that you think allowed you to succeed the way that you did?
um, yeah, just being committed to the doors, not really leaving hood too much. The big thing was just having a good time, because I was always smiling, I was always happy, and a lot of times I'd be pitching someone, and they wouldn't really be interested, and they'd be like, you know what, you're a really nice guy, I really like you, we'll give you a shot. And that's what really made me realize, like, wow, this is really just a mindset and a personable thing. Like if someone likes you, they're gonna want to do business with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just trying to sell someone all day and just be that salesman, no one's really gonna want to give you their business.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%, man. It's like a sales clinic going on. So, what's one thing you wish you had known when the season started that you now know? So, if you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself?
Probably how important a morning routine is. I say that a lot just because that's like one of the things I really didn't do, but also just knowing that, like, if you go out there all day and you're having a tough day, it's not always because of something that you're doing. Because a lot of times, like, I'd be having like a rough first 3 hours and I'd completely change my pitch around. Some people think that's good to do, but I don't, because a lot of times, like, it's not your pitch, it's just you. And if you keep
Mm-hmm.
changing your pitch around, you're never really going to find what fits you the best. And I was doing that at first, because like if I went out there for 3 hours, no sales, I'd change my pitch around, and I was just like kind of lacking with not doing a consistent pitch and
Mm-hmm.
having that one pitch that always sticks to. But what really hit me was just doing the same thing, getting it dialed to where people can't say no. And if
Mm-hmm.
they do, you just know that you're doing something very, very, very little that's wrong, like not being assumptive enough, or your body language is off, or you're not smiling enough, something like that.
Mm-hmm. You were very by the book. Like when I watched the video that you sent me that you train your guys with, it was word for word essentially
Mm-hmm.
what our script is. I mean, you delivered it authentically,
Yeah.
which is actually a question that I have asked for you. So, what do you think guys can do to make sure that they don't sound like a script out there, right? And to have an authentic connection with people? What do you think what's some advice you would give them?
Experience, because you're gonna sound like a script at first. I did too. I have videos of when I was in Utah, and we were taking a flight to Arizona for preseason a couple days ago, and I was watching the video of myself in Utah, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I sold anyone. Like, I literally sounded like I was just staring at like a script and talking. I obviously wasn't, but the biggest thing is just getting experience, and just knowing that you're gonna make mistakes at first. You're not gonna be perfect at first. So just get all the experience you can to where you get the learning curve out of the way, you get comfortable with it, to where it just sounds like a conversation. That's the
Okay.
biggest thing, is once you know the pitch actually like word for word and you're dialed with it, you don't really have to try to not sound scripted, because you just won't sound scripted.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having a conversation, it's going to be a conversation. But if you're really just trying to sell someone, you're going to come off as salesy. That's the big thing too. It's all with your mindset and just, how well do you know the pitch.
Mm. Going into this summer, we're going to get this podcast out hopefully in the next week or so.
Heck yeah.
So guys in EcoShield specifically, many sales guys can benefit from this, but guys in EcoShield are going to be right in front of the summer, right?
Oh yeah.
What is some piece of advice, the one thing that you'll tell those guys in order for them to be successful this summer?
There's so much. It's tough.
Go ahead and pick two things. How about two?
The biggest thing is, whatever you're doing right now, do more, because you can never prepare enough. And a lot of these guys that are rookies that want to be a top 10 rookie don't realize how many other guys that are out there that want to be a top 10 rookie.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't really start with the training. It starts with the little things. Everyone has the same training. Everyone has, a good pitch. and anyone can get a good pitch down. But it's what comes into doing the little things right. Having like the little wins when you wake up, having a morning routine, being mentally all there. Having the small wins throughout your day is really what comes down to it. Because what hit me was like everyone in Eco Shield, they have the same pitch. It might not be word for word the same, but it's the same pitch. And there's always someone who's number one, and there's always people who aren't in the top 10. And it just shows who does the little things right. Everyone has the same pitch. If you hear me pitch or someone else pitch, it's going to sound the same. But it comes down to your habits and everything like that.
Hey, so I've got something to go over that guys deal with really differently.
Yeah.
And you've seen it where this thing has really negatively impacted somebody, and it's also really positively impacted somebody. So when someone's coming out to the summer, or when they're looking to dive deep into something for an extended period of time, what's important for them as far as understanding their potential relationship with like their girlfriend or the significant other, right? How have you seen that impact people positively, and how have you seen that impact people negatively, and what do you think people should do to try to end up in the right position there?
Right, yeah. I mean, like you said, you can either let that push you or it's going to work against you. The biggest thing is just not letting it be a distraction. Knowing that, okay, like just make a sacrifice. You're probably going to have to, spend a lot less time with them when you're trying to achieve your goal. And they have to be on the same page as you. If they're happy that you're doing, like, let's say this job, if they're happy you're coming out this summer, it's going to be a lot easier because there's not going to be the conflict, and just using it to its potential, using it as a motivation. Like, okay, I'm going to work my ass off for 4 months, so the other 8 months I can give my girlfriend, my wife, whoever, the best 8 months of their life. And you can use that to push you. But if you let it distract you, if you become obsessed with that, it's really not going to help you the best. Just because you're going to be, taking time away from your craft and putting your energy into someone else. That could be, because if you have like a girlfriend, it's just facts that you're not going to be able to put 100% of your effort into Eco Shield. No matter how driven they are for you, at least a little bit of your energy is going to go into your girlfriend or wife, if that makes sense. Rather than someone not having a wife or a girlfriend, all of their time and energy is into Eco Shield. It's crazy to think about. And my rookie year, right before Utah, my girlfriend broke up with me, and I used that for a big motivation, and I killed it. And a lot of people could either, I'm not gonna do this now, I'm just gonna spend time with my girlfriend. Just put that on pause. You can do that after, because right now is the most valuable time of your life. You're young. That's why I tell everyone that wants to do this job, just do it. You're young. You don't have anything to lose. Yeah.
Hey, I love that perspective on things. Oh, yeah. This question is got to do with your demeanor. Okay, you come across very confident in interactions, but you miss the arrogance. What do you think draws the line there, right? What's the difference between confidence when selling and just interacting with people versus, arrogance?
Yeah, just being humble. I mean, you always got to know your place, and sometimes, being confident can come off as being arrogant. It's not always a bad thing, but you just got to back it up. Like Brent. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's true.
Some people that's just their demeanor, and if you're going to be like that, you just got to back it up. But the big thing is just always having confidence, because confidence is what wins everything.
Yep. Hey, that's true about Brent. All right, we'll see. This leads perfectly into the next question. Who's somebody that you're going to beat this year?
Oh, man. Well, yeah, Brent, definitely. Yep, we both have a similar goal, but I'm just going to work a lot harder.
Got it. Hey, Brent's hard at work.
He is.
He
is, definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody else nationally that you're coming for?
Dylan Smith, just because him and I always back and forth. He's a really cool guy. I finally got to meet him in person at Pro Bowl for the first time, and I was just like, wow, you're the guy that was on my ass. So and the rookie mania, he was 28K, I did 33, not a huge gap. So he's got some talent, works hard, and I'm really excited to see what he does this coming summer.
Okay, all right, hey, that'll be fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
What as far as MDP That's like a big part of what we do.
Yep.
I see you once a month,
Yeah.
wherever throughout the U.S. or outside of
Right.
it. What are some of the big takeaways you've gotten from our MDP program, or just like what's your perspective of that? I know it's a lot different than
Yeah.
other companies.
Oh yeah, it's MDP is like the best thing ever. I mean, you have people that are presenting that are leaders. They're business owners. They know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing is, if you listen to anything that they're saying, they all go by the same principles of being disciplined, having a schedule, doing the little things right, and becoming obsessed with what they are doing. Your job's not going to be fun no matter how cool it is unless you are in love with it. And that's the thing about this job. Like throughout the whole summer, I was in love with just getting better, and I literally woke up, couldn't wait to go outdoors. And then just going to MDP and seeing all of the guys in the company, it's one thing, and then hearing all of the presenters is unreal. But the biggest thing is you gotta make sure you apply it. Anyone can listen to all the knowledge that's being put out there, but you gotta go back home and figure out how you can apply that into your life.
So talking about you this last summer, everybody knows how successful you were on the doors, but after that, you ended up going into putting yourself in the position where you're going to be an owner of a business by the end of 2021.
Yeah.
95% chance of that. What were some of the things that you adopted, principles you adopted as you went from a rep to somebody who now is looking at themselves as a business owner?
Yeah. Pretty much like the saying, fake it till you make it. No matter what, you just gotta, like, when I was first year rep, I acted like a top 10 rookie before I even knocked a door my entire life. Because if you want to be something, you have to become it before you are it in order to get there. So being a rookie going into the off season, you go to Pro Bowl, you see all of the business owners, what they do, what they preach, what they talk about, and you can either take it into consideration and do it, or you can just kind of do your own thing. And it all starts with just doing little things right, being committed, and just honestly just being committed. Just knowing that every day you have a duty to do and just fulfilling it. That's the biggest thing.
To quote Gaines, knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power.
100%.
I love that quote. So I got another question for you. What is the most common misperception about door-to-door sales from people who are outside of it looking in?
Yeah, that's really tough to answer because there's a lot of different aspects of that. Just to relate it back to when I just got into it, I told my parents I was doing this, and they're like, "No, that's so hard." And I was like, "Have you guys done door-to-door sales before?" And they're like, "No." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm sure it's hard, but it can't be the most terrible thing in the world." And that's what people think right away, like door-to-door sales. Yeah, it is tough, but just like anything, like I said, if you just do it, you become obsessed with it, you'll be really good at it. It's tough, but it's not the hardest thing in the world. There's a lot worse things than doing this. I'm sure.
Agreed.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing is it's hard, but if you just put your mind to it and you become obsessed with getting better, there's no way you won't be very good at this.
I got you. With EcoShield being a premium service, right, and us providing a lot of additional things for our customers, how do you handle knocking behind a cheap service that's throwing out just prices that we would never do, right?
Yeah.
How do you handle knocking behind them and keeping continue to sign people up consistently and keeping the value proper so that we're able to properly take care of these customers?
Right. Yeah. I love that because there was actually a time last summer, Ethan dropped me off in my hood, and I was just walking, looking at my sales route app, and I get a text from him right away, right after he dropped me off. He's like, "Hey man, there's an active rep talking to a homeowner right down the street," and I was like, "There better not be." I walk down there, I just see a Segway sitting right at the beginning of the driveway. I literally just walk right up to the door when he's pitching. I let him pitch, and his pitch literally was, "I'm doing all of this for free today." And just start signing her up. And I was like, "Wait, you're doing all of that for free?" And he goes, "Yeah, who are you, bro?" And I was like, "I'm with EcoShield." I was like, "I actually work for Mary, John." We had neighbors sign up right next to this homeowner. And I literally just walked right up. I kind of just moved him out of the way, and I just price sheeted this girl and signed her up. And then I signed the neighbor up right across the street, and he's just standing there on his Segway, just looking at us. And I had the truck there. It's 12 o'clock in the afternoon, just 2 sales already, just going.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is just own it. We're a premium service, and people need to know that. I couldn't tell you how many times someone says, "Oh, I have active. What do you charge though?" I give them a full initial. And I literally had this one guy that said, "Yeah, I knew Proof was scamming me. They're way too cheap."
Yeah.
It's true.
It's something I'm crazy passionate about.
Yeah.
These other companies, I don't want to name drop any specifically worse than others, but they go out there and throw out these prices that are so ridiculously cheap.
It's crazy.
That their service sucks so bad that then when we're out there, people think that we're in some way related to them. Whereas we actually charge enough to do a proper application in and around the home. So anyway, yeah, that's something that I noticed you and, well, the guys in Detroit were really successful with this year.
Yeah, and you have to be, because it's going to happen. And like I said, you just got to own it. And if you have confidence that we are the best and this homeowner is using someone else, they're getting a disservice, it'll come off as that. You'll come off as the expert, and people they don't really care about price. They just care about service. Mm-hmm. And half the time, if you hear a cheap, price, they end up saying, yeah, I don't really like my guy. And yeah, well, I'm sure, for that price, he's not doing the best job.
It's true.
It is.
In the service industry, you get what you pay for.
100%.
People understand that. Now that you're doing door-to-door and you've succeeded to the level that you have so far, I know you're just getting started, but what do people say when they find out that you do door-to-door?
They ask me like 5 more times, like, wait, what do you really do? And it's hard for me to actually explain it to them. So now I don't even say that. I just say I just do pest control.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, like, what do you do? And I'm just like, I just do sales. It's a lot easier than saying I do door-to-door sales, because they're like, no, you don't. I'm like, yes, I do. They're like, no, you don't.
That's, remember Tristan's podcast? The other Tristin in Miami. He's like, yeah, I'm a solicitor.
yeah, literally.
So shout out to Tristan Ross. Yeah, Tristan. I try to make it sound as lame as I possibly can.
And I do the same thing too.
Hey, what I want to do is I want to jump over to social media. I had quite a few people end up responding to what I just threw out there as far as you coming on the podcast. So let's dive in here. I took screenshots of the ones that were submitted before the podcast, so let's go there first. All right, so Stevie had written this. I'd like to know how he was able to maintain composure on some of his mentally harder days on the doors, and how he was able to recenter himself if he was having an off day.
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's honestly tough too. It comes down to having a really big why. Like, why are you doing this job? Because when you're having bad days, everything's not going your way, you're going to kind of relay back to why am I doing this job? What is going to push me on my bad days? If you're doing this to support your parents or to support your family, that's going to come to your mind when you're having a terrible day, and it's just going to push you harder. And a really big thing is just knowing that it's a short-term sacrifice. You knock for 4 months, everything's going to be okay. You're going to have some tough days, but you're going to be able to enjoy the other 8 months how you want, and just look at it as a marathon. It's not a sprint. That's what Mikey always told me. Yep. And when I heard that, I was like, yeah, I love that, because it's so true. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yep. If you can master that, then you're golden. Yeah. Because you'll figure it out if you view it the correct way. Another question from Ryan. He says, where do you see yourself in 3 years?
Right here. I'll be back on this podcast. I'll be with EcoShield. Just doing my own thing. And just leading a team of guys, and all working for the same thing.
Love it. Another one here from JK47. What's the biggest change he's planning on making or has already made from last summer to this summer?
Morning routine, and just now that I have some guys with me, just being the leader and just going all out. Now that I know what I'm capable of doing, I can work a lot harder, and that's the biggest thing too. Like it sucks, because my biggest goal in going into my first year is I'm gonna work as hard as I can. I'm gonna do everything I can. When you finish the summer, you kind of look back and you're like, well, I could have worked a little harder. You always can. So that's like my biggest motivator this year, is just no excuses, going all out, and just having a really solid morning routine. Love it.
Another question from Ethan. Where did he notice the most personal growth after knocking a summer? So what did you notice that changed that was the best?
Just overall, like my demeanor, like the way I look at things, like just it's hard for me to explain, but just not really getting fed up with little things, or not letting little inconveniences get to me. Just everything's okay. Just go with the flow.
Love it. David said, what was the hardest objection you ever got and you ended up converting it to a sale?
That might take some time for me to think about. In Utah. I knocked on this guy's door. I don't remember the name of the company. It wasn't White Knight. It was something else. There's a couple companies out there that were pretty big. Very nice neighborhood. I knock on this guy's door. Old guy opens the door, says, "Yeah, man, my son owns some pest control company. I'm good."
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep pitching him, and I just throw him a deal. And he goes, "You're doing all of that for that?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I'll give you a shot." And at first, like when he told me I'm using my son's company, I was like, "Oh, like take her easy." But I just kept pitching him. I didn't really know any better. And he goes, "Man, if my son knew I was doing this, he would not be happy."
You sold a father of someone who owned a pest control service.
I was like, "Hey man, just give me a shot. Like I promise you'll notice the difference with me. We're a premium service." And he goes, "Yeah, we'll try you out."
That's phenomenal.
It was actually my last day there too.
Okay, so I mean, it took you like 2 weeks to be that good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, okay. Might hear some of the barking dog there. I think Amazon came to the door. So, I got a question from Carson. What are your long-term financial investing goals?
Haven't really put a ton of thought into that. Obviously, Amazon. A lot with stocks and real estate is something that I've always wanted to get into really big. Like apartments, that kind of thing. Brent and I always talk about that.
Okay.
And when I was like 16, that's the first time I was like really getting into Grant Cardone. That's a big thing he does. Cardone Capital,
Mm-hmm.
investing into complexes and stuff like that. So that kind of sparked my mind to do the same thing.
Okay, yeah. I've had similar thoughts.
Yep.
Apartments, you can get somebody to manage it, and your time and energy can be spent most of the time elsewhere. So.
And the thing is, someone always needs a place to live. That's what I think about all the time.
100%. You can't get away from that one.
Yep.
I got another question. Says, is there a secret to getting comfortable with being on the doors?
Yeah. I mean, once you start getting sales, you're obviously going to be more confident and comfortable. But the biggest thing that I did at first was like, I'm probably not going to see these people again. So if I mess up or if I sound dumb or if I seem like I don't know what I'm talking about for whatever reason, it's not the end of the world. There's infinite doors. You can always keep knocking. But the biggest thing is just knowing like you're doing your job, own it, and if you mess up, you mess up. It's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm. I got a question. When's the latest you knocked until?
It's embarrassing because it was the day I bageled, 10 o'clock.
Oof.
Yeah, it was bad. And the last door I knocked, this guy wanted it, right? He was like just a lay down, and he goes, "Yeah, I just need to wait for my wife to come home. She's on a trip." And I was just having a bad day. I was like, man, whatever. Take it easy. I gave him my card. I went home. Terrible day. I bageled in Birmingham, and that was like not fun. Not fun at all.
So what was your best day on the doors your first year?
10 spot.
Okay. How'd that day go down?
It was crazy because it was like actually like the start of my day was like the worst day ever. And I always think about it, but I never like talked about it. It was in Lake Orion. And I got out there late, just not all there. I was like, oh, today's just, I'm not having the best day so far. I knock a door, and a cop drives by the first door, and he tells me to get out of there. And it was like right here, there's a lake right here, and then there's all New Hood over here. I was right here. The cop told me to get out of there, so I just go right over here, and I start knocking. About the first 5 houses, all price sheets, no one. I just couldn't close them. Knocked this one house, I switch over, and then from there, it was just over. I just name dropped her, and I literally signed up like 5 in a row, and then I went down the road, and it was just all active too, a lot of active switchovers, and everyone kind of knew everyone,
Okay.
and everything was just going your way. People were just, it was just the buzz, and he couldn't stop signing people up. And I remember I had 9, and it was like 8 something. And I went to this callback. This guy had active, and he told me, he's like, if you can't price match him, I'm not going to do it. And I came back there, and I was like, look, man, I can't price match him, but we do have a way better service. Just give me a shot. I showed him the map of all the stars, and I was like, all your neighbors just got service today. Like, you're my last stop. He goes, yeah, we'll do it. And then I was like, let's go.
Best decision you ever made.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it was like 9,500 in rev, I believe. Yeah. It was a good day.
Okay. And then I want to dive to in Detroit. You were the Shield Championship team this year.
Yep.
What was it like? Also the only undefeated team nationally this year.
Heck yeah.
So kind of run through what was the summer like involvement as far as involvement with Shield goes, and then the playoffs and all that.
It was overall just crazy. It was the best time of my life, honestly. Starting off, May, June, just kind of getting like the ropes of it as a rookie, and just being surrounded by all of these guys is just the best. Everyone's winning, and you're just a winner. Guys like you, Ethan, all of the other managers that have been with us for a while, Alan, Mike, just being around that energy and just knowing that like there's a really big possibility at being the best. Like we are surrounded by the best, why not just be the best? And being around that energy and environment is just amazing. And it's almost like impossible not to excel, especially if you're driven and you want to work. And then going into the playoffs was a lot of fun because that's when we started winning. And I was like,
that's
okay,
when we kept winning.
Yeah, exactly. It was a ton of fun. And then the finals, that was crazy. I believe we did our meeting like almost an hour or 2 hours earlier, right? Morning meeting.
Yep, a little bit over an hour earlier.
And I don't know about you, but I love morning knocking. Like morning knocking is the best.
People want to get stuff done early.
Yes.
Yes.
And if you know how to knock signs of life, morning time everyone answers because everyone's home in the morning before they get out to work.
What are you looking for, right?
Yeah.
So early, before a certain time of the day, and what time do you stop doing signs of life?
So that's really tricky. Signs of life is lights on, blinds open, cars there, garage doors open, screen doors open, stuff like that. Just signs of life, people being active. And about till probably 2:00 is when I just start knocking everything. Until then, I'm just looking for signs of life because if there isn't, a lot of times they're either working. If you don't see like activity going on, they're either working with COVID going on now and they don't want to open the door. And I just go back later and they're there. They're like, oh, hey, I heard you knock earlier. Was that you? Yeah, of course. And I just go right into my pitch. But prime time for me is literally like 3:00, just because like I just go like 3:00 till 9:00 is I'm just knocking everything.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So Shield, and then I know you threw down some big numbers, so we breezed past that. But the weeks leading up to the Shield's championship were just insane this last year. So
they were.
Does anything stick out specifically during Shield playoffs to you?
Just it was crazy because almost everyone had their PR week. Just going absolutely ham. Everyone was just throwing down huge numbers. That's when we started selling some bi-monthlies because you had to. And
hey, you guys out there in Grosse Pointe, they needed bi-monthly
Grosse
services
Pointe
anyway.
And it was like New Baltimore.
A lot of homes in Michigan
Yeah.
should be on a bi-monthly service, especially if they're near water.
Especially on the water. I didn't really know that until I started knocking like lake homes and stuff like that, and people love it. I'm like, yeah, like instead of coming this often, we're gonna come once every other month. And you're not going to see as much webs, all that stuff. People love it. My parents are on a monthly right now. They don't see anything.
They're on a monthly.
They're right on the water too.
I'm on a bi-monthly day. I gotta step it up.
I have our house on a bi-monthly too at the Bug Mansion.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean bi-monthly is personally like the best. Just think of it. More pest control, less bugs. But Shield Finals was awesome. Steven, Brent, and Mark went back over by home, Algonac area, and we just tore it up. I remember my first day going back there, I put up like 9,800 in rev. I was so mad because I didn't get 10K in rev.
I was so 200
mad.
short.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was selling,
one more full initial.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even full initials. It was just 189 and 199 BIMOs across the board all day.
And that was the biggest day of the year for you?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So what's your goal for biggest day this year? Do you have one?
I haven't even thought about it yet, but I definitely want to beat Tanner's PR day in Detroit.
I got to fact check and find out what that is. Do you know what that is?
I think he ended up doing 14 or 15. I'm not 100% sure.
14 or 15? I'm going to send him a text message and verify that. All right, so the goal is to beat Tanner's biggest day, which we'll find out in a little bit. I'll just send him a text message to find out what that is.
Yeah.
As far as other crazy competitions that went on this last year, Rookie Mania, for those people that are listening that don't know what it is, all the rookies in the nation go into a bracketed type March Madness situation where they go up against each other all the way till there's one final person. And congratulations, you won.
Thank you.
Rookie Mania.
Heck yeah.
What was that like going through it?
That was a lot of fun. It was probably like the most nervous part of my summer just because like I knew what I was capable of and I was like, if I don't win this, like what am I going to feel like? Because I know I got this. And I was like, I just don't want to have, one bad day to where it throws me off. But I thought about that. And then I was like, you know what? I don't even care. I'm just going to work. I'm just going to put up crazy numbers. And I didn't even know that I won until they announced it.
What?
Yeah, I didn't even know I won. I was just working and working and working, and I literally looked at Steven and I was like, hey, is the Rookie Mania thing like still going? And he's like, no, dude, you won that. And I was like, oh, cool. I literally didn't even know it. But yeah, that was a really big week. That was, I think, the Shield, one of the Shield weeks towards the end.
It's Mania coincided. Yep. Yep. Okay. Well, that was really unfortunate for the person you were going against.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Dylan Smith did a great job. He put up like 28K, which is huge.
Who are the guys? Let's first go in the industry, right? Who are the guys that you've learned from, and what are some things you learned from guys in the industry that have come before you and put up crazy numbers?
Alan, of course, you, Ethan, and Jake. Jake's a huge one, just because Jake. He's like one of the best teachers we have for this job.
What makes Jake a good teacher? What does he do well?
He just really listens, and he knows like the ins and outs of selling on the doors. And a lot of times, like even when I'm trying to train someone or help someone, I overcomplicate it, and he just keeps it so simple. And it's just like the smallest little thing that if you fix, you'll put up more sales. I remember Sincere was struggling one week, and he had a TTT with Trombley, and he just told him to just change one like little thing, and Sincere put up like 4 or 5 the next day.
I remember that.
And,
I was driving
yeah.
Sincere out to Hood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sick.
I was like, wow, it's crazy.
And then let's go big picture. What are some of the big influences, impacts on your life as far as like mentors go, leaders, things like that?
Yeah, definitely Alex Becker. He's a big YouTuber. He has his own business, big CEO, and he just is really good at doing the little things right, and just being a complete savage. I learned a lot from his YouTube channel, his book, 10 Pillars of Wealth, and he's a really, really, really big business guy. Does it all right.
Yeah, I've looked into him. Well, last time we talked about it a little bit, and I followed him on Instagram, so I'm just now diving into his stuff.
He's cool. He's pretty cool.
So you're incredibly young. You're 19 years old. Just for everybody listening, what do you think the most active social media outlet is for people in your age right now?
TikTok, honestly. I don't have TikTok. I don't use it. I know Ray is killing it with TikTok.
He's killing it.
That's what makes me want to get into it. But other than that, definitely Instagram. Instagram is always like, everyone knows Instagram. TikTok's just really big because everyone's on it, and it's just that thing like that's taken over right now because it's new. Instagram's been out for a while, but Instagram is definitely like my biggest like platform that you have to know how to use it though. Because if you don't know how to use social media, it will use you, and it's very, 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 very bad. You will get, just caught into just checking what everyone's doing, and you kind of just drift away from yourself. So you definitely have to know how to use social media. Don't let it use you.
So when guys your age or girls your age have goals, and they're not meeting them, what do you think is one of the biggest contributing factors? Like what are people doing that they don't realize is working against them, from what you've observed?
I'd say trying to like copy someone else, like seeing someone else did this, I want to do the exact same thing. Just because a lot of times like that's not you, and if that person didn't do that, would you still have that same goal? Probably not. And the biggest thing is just looking at it like too closely. Like if you have a goal this summer to do 200K in revenue, and you have like 2 bad weeks, you get too down on yourself, and that's going to affect you for a lot longer than it should. Rather than just being okay with it and knowing that it's average. There's 4 months, you're going to have ups and downs. I had them, everyone has them. And just getting too caught up with what's going on right now and not letting go of the past. Like if I was to bagel, thinking about the next day, that's terrible. Like if you bagel, that's yesterday. Today's a new day. Put up more sales. Yep. So definitely getting caught up on stuff that's just not really in the present.
What would you recommend to someone who's coming out of high school and they're weighing whether or not they should go to college, right? What do you think they should weigh? What are the pros, cons? What do you think could help them lead to making the right decision there?
Yeah. Overall, just what you want in life. Like in 5-10 years, what do you want to do? And if they want to be like a doctor or something, definitely go to school. But the biggest thing to take into consideration is, what is your tuition going to cost you? How are you going to pay that back? Because a lot of people don't really think about that. They think, oh, I'm going to go into college, but this is how much I'm going to have to pay. And once I get my job, once I complete college and I get my marketing degree or whatever, I'll pay everything back. it doesn't really work like that, because a lot of times you don't get the job right away. And just the way, loans for school works, you're going to be paying a lot more than you should be, and people just don't really take into account of what they're doing at the moment. Like there's a lot of guys that hit me up and they're like, yeah man, I wanted to go to college, I finished college, now I'm in debt and I don't know what to do. And that's just because they didn't really have a plan. They just did it because they feel like that's what they have to do after they get out of high school.
Yeah. What do you think? So this is a topic I'm just going to jump into for a second because I know that we have a similar perspective on it. Video games. How do you feel about video games?
I mean, I don't love them at all. It's a big waste of time. I'm not saying, never play a video game. I played video games in my past. I've never been good at them, which is a good thing. But it's definitely like a good way to connect with your friends and stuff like that. But don't get obsessed with them. It's very easy to, and it's very, very, very easy to. But the biggest thing is, like, you're not really working for anything. You're playing a game. It's a game. The bigger game is life. You need to be playing that, because a lot of times, like, if you put as much effort into life as you did in video games, your life would be like a video game. And rather than just putting a disc in a console and playing, just work towards actual life and fulfillment.
What since you've been traveling around, what's some of the things you've learned, some things that have expanded your vision? Like, what'd you get from traveling this past year as an adult? What'd you take from it?
The biggest thing is just, like, coming from Algonac, very, very small place, not a lot of people there. Everything is kind of the same. You go travel somewhere else and it's completely different, and you don't really realize what is all out there until you see, like, not even a quarter of it, like a percentage of it. And just knowing all the different opportunities, especially just, like, being on the doors, even people offering you jobs, and just seeing like other perspectives of life and what all is out there. Because going to different countries, completely different, even different states, all that stuff. It's definitely really cool to see, like what's going on here than what's going on there.
How do you control so just an impression from you, and I know people get a certain amount of it from the video version of this, but you're very neutral in a way that, like, you don't fly off the handle one direction or the other. And I've known you for a while now, and I've never observed that. What do you do? What's the mental process for you to go through that allows you to remain cool, calm, collect under any situation?
Yeah, that's a really good quality to have, because it plays a lot of favors too. But the biggest thing is, I honestly don't even know. It's just kind of how I always been. I've always been kind of like, kept to myself, quiet. But it's just a really good thing to get good at, because if you let little things affect you, it's going to play a lot bigger role than it should. I feel like, just like, if something makes you mad, just laugh at it, or just think about something else. You always have to just think of, like, what do you actually want? And whatever it is, you just want to push towards that. There's going to be a lot of things that mess up your goal or get in your way of trying to achieve something, but just know that it's supposed to happen. No one really becomes successful without any bumps in the road or anything like that. So always just take a deep breath and just relax and just do what you've been taught. Just keep doing what you've been working on.
Before you ended up starting the job with EcoShield, like, what was the position you were, like, what was life like that? What was life like back then? A lot of times you'll hear guys that come from these, crazy situations ahead of time, and they end up they either drop those things and start focusing on something beneficial for them, or they can't let go of them and they get sucked back in, and there's just, like, constant things in their mind that keep them from success. But what is it that you came into EcoShield from?
Well, I was working at Island Grill, and that was just like a summer job, so I didn't really have, like, any long-term fulfillment or anything like that. And I was supposed to be working at a CNC shop, like running the machines, like cutting, all that kind of stuff. And it was, like, a lot of people do it. It's just like going into the trades. I was, I think, like a 5 a.m. to like 3 or 4 p.m. every day, Monday to Friday. Saturday it was supposed to be like 10 to 4. And that's what I was gonna do, and it was gonna pay like $60,000 a year, and that's not bad at all. But there's not any long-term growth with that.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking, to the guy that was going to hire me, and he said, max is like 120, 130, and that's in 25, 30 years from now. And you got to do that every single day doing the same thing.
So,
and there's,
oh man, so you made that in 4 months.
Yeah, exactly.
4 months.
Yeah,
little
it's
flex
crazy.
there for Tristin.
little bit. I remember telling a lot of my friends like that's what I was gonna do, and they're like, oh yeah, like that's a great idea. And then I told you this story before, and I got pulled over one night.
Oh yeah. So what happened? Let's dive into
Yeah,
that.
I was driving around with a couple of my buddies, and
When was this?
This was about February, right before my summer in 2020. So
Okay.
February 2020.
Had you heard about EcoShield yet?
No,
Oh,
I
this
have
is
not.
okay, cool.
Yep, this was like right when I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go work as a CNC guy and be in the trade, all this stuff. And one night I was driving out with my buddies, and I got pulled over for my windows being tinted. I was with two of my buddies. The car smelled like weed. The cop was just doing his job. Like, why does it smell like weed in here? Blah blah blah. One thing led to another. He had me get out of the car, did like a roadside sobriety test. I passed it, and he found like a couple joints in my car. And I got arrested for that. I was just a kid. I literally came home from work at Island Grill, had all like this tip money in my center console. I was just feeling like the man. I was like, man, I'm on top of the world. I'm young. I'm making money. I'm gonna go make 60 grand this year being a CNC guy. And then I'm in the back of the cop car, and I was like, okay, this is not good. And I was like, this is not me, because I was sitting there and I was like, I don't deserve this. I've worked hard for everything. There's something, like, there's a reason why this is happening. And I was just in this like ruminating pattern of just making bad decisions, just like little things, like driving while smoking, whatever, just something stupid like that. And I just got taught a lesson. And when I was sitting in jail for like 14 hours, I was so scared to get out, because I was like, what is my dad gonna say? What is my mom gonna say? And I just felt like a failure. I was like, I've been doing like all the stuff my whole life, and now I'm in jail. I don't know what I want to do. I just dropped out of college after one semester. I thought my life was over. And I got home, and my dad told me to join the military. At first,
which branch did it matter?
He did not care. He did not care. At first, I kind of like thought he was joking, and he was being dead serious. And when he thought that I thought he was joking, he got really mad, and I was like, whoa, I'm not going into the military. Like, I'm gonna be a business guy. And he's like, well, you better figure that out then. And I did a lot of like researching on like how to get to the next level in my life and actually be something. That's when I started doing cold calls with the social media marketing thing that never really took off. And then I just DM'd Ethan on Instagram, and here I am.
Let's go. So that was that's where you're coming from before this summer. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy thing. And I remember like the whole time, I was always trying to keep that like a secret, like, because I didn't have a license at first, and I was just like driving to the gym and stuff. I'd go work out with Steven, and so I remember what it was, but one time he asked about like my ID or something, and I brought it up, and he was just dying laughing. And I was just like, yeah, bro, like that's my motivation for the summer. Like, I'm gonna kill it. Like, I got this.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, man, as long as you learned a lesson. And that's the big thing. Like, some people, that could happen to someone and they could still be doing the same thing, not really making a change. But that's a really big thing that I always look at, is everything does happen for a reason. If that night wouldn't have happened, if I wouldn't have got pulled over, if I would have just kept driving, took my friends home, went home, I might not be here right now. I might still be working at the gas stocks, or who knows what. It's crazy to think about that too.
You something that Jay Riding always says is, you win or you learn.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Hey man, thanks so much for coming in. I'm really glad we got to do this. I look forward to after this summer.
Heck yeah.
Getting to do this again as your business partner.
Yep, I'll definitely be back here.
All right, man. We'll see you later on.
Awesome.
See you guys.
I'll see you.